deep in Russia's Ural Mountains, where the wind howls through jagged peaks, and winter temperatures regularly plummet to minus 40 degrees. There's a place the locals call Dead Mountain, but since 1959, it's been known for something far more sinister than its forbidding landscape. This is when 9 experienced hikers ventured into the wilderness on a journey that would end in one of the most baffling mysteries of the modern age. Into the Unknown presents the Dyatlov Pass incident. Picture January 23, 1959. 10 young students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, now Ural Federal University, set out on what was supposed to be a challenging but routine trek through the northern Urals. Led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old radio engineering student known for his exceptional outdoor skills, the group was attempting to reach Otorten Mountain, a feat that would earn them their Grade 3 hiking certification, the Soviet Union's highest amateur hiking distinction. The team was well prepared and experienced. Each member had completed numerous difficult expeditions before. They carried proper equipment, maintained detailed diaries, and even brought along a camera to document their journey. None of them could have known they were walking into what would become one of history's most enduring mysteries. The initial phase of their journey was ordinary enough. On January 27th, one member of the group, Yuri Yudin, turned back due to joint pain, a decision that would save his life and haunt him until his dying day. The remaining 9 continued their ascent: Igor Dyatlov, Yuri Doroshenko, Lyudmila Dubinina, Georgy Krivonishenko, Alexander Kolevatov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Nikolai Thibault-Brignoles, and Semyon Zolotaryov. The last entry in their diary was made on February 1st. They had established a camp on the slopes of Kholat-Syakhl, roughly 10 kilometers south of their intended destination. Photos recovered from their cameras show them in high spirits, setting up camp and preparing for what should have been just another night in the wilderness. Then something happened. Something so terrifying that it drove 9 experienced mountaineers from their tent in the middle of the night, some of them barefoot, others in just their underwear, into temperatures of negative 30 degrees Celsius or negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit for American listeners. They would never return to their camp alive. When the group failed to return on their scheduled date of February 12th, there was initially no panic. Delays were common in winter expeditions, and the hikers had packed supplies for an extra week. But as days turned into weeks, concern grew. On February 20th, a massive search operation was launched. What the rescuers found would spawn decades of theories, investigations, and speculation that continues to this day. The first discovery came on February 26th, an abandoned tent on the mountain slope. But it was the condition of the tent that immediately struck the searchers as wrong. It was torn open from the inside. All the group's belongings remained: warm clothing, shoes, food, and equipment. 9 sets of footprints led away from the tent, some barefoot, some in socks, some in a single shoe. The prints told a story of people walking calmly, not running, despite being severely underdressed for the brutal cold. The first bodies were found at the edge of the nearby forest, under a large cedar tree about a mile from the tent. Yuri Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonishenko lay barefoot and wearing only underwear. Despite the seeming evidence of freezing, the cedar tree's branches were broken up to 15 feet high, and the remains of a small fire were found nearby. The next 3 bodies, Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin, were discovered at various points between the cedar tree and the tent, positioned as if they had been trying to return to the campsite. They too were insufficiently dressed for the weather. But it was the discovery of the remaining 4 bodies, 2 months later in a ravine 75 meters from the cedar tree, that would transform this from a tragic accident into something far more sinister. These victims, Dubinina, Zolotaryov, Thibault-Brignoles, and Kolevatov, were better dressed than the others, some even wearing portions of their compatriots' clothing. But their injuries defied explanation. Dubinina's tongue was missing. Zolotaryov had massive chest trauma. Thibaut Brignola's skull was crushed. Yet their bodies showed no external signs of a struggle. No soft tissue damage, no signs of defense wounds. The official medical examiner noted that the force required to cause such injuries was immense, comparable to a car crash. Yet there were no external signs of trauma that could explain such damage. Even more puzzling, high levels of radiation were found on some of their clothing. The official investigation at the time concluded that an unknown compelling force had caused the deaths. The case was quickly classified and hidden away in Soviet military archives, fueling decades of speculation about what really happened on Dead Mountain. But the strangeness of the case was just beginning to unfold. The photographs recovered from the group's cameras raised more questions than they answered. The last few frames showed what appeared to be lights in the sky, strange dark shapes against the snow, and one particularly puzzling image that seemed to capture some sort of glowing orb. Witness testimonies added another layer of mystery. The Mansi people, indigenous to the region, reported seeing strange orange spheres in the sky that night. Military personnel in the area logged unexplained atmospheric phenomena. A group of hikers camping about 50 kilometers south of the Dyatlov group reported unusual lights in the sky moving northward. The radiation found on the clothing was never adequately explained. Some pieces contained contamination levels 4 times higher than normal background radiation. Yet other items from the same individuals showed no contamination at all. The list of inexplicable elements continued to grow. Why did experienced hikers cut their way out of their tent from the inside when they could have used the entrance? Why did they walk away calmly rather than run if they were fleeing danger? How did some victims suffer catastrophic internal injuries with no external signs of trauma? Why were some bodies found partially dressed in their companions' clothing? What explained the radiation contamination? What were the strange lights reported in the sky that night? Over the decades, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the Dyatlov Pass incident. The avalanche theory. Long considered the most plausible explanation, it suggests that an avalanche forced the group from their tent. However, the slope was not steep enough for a typical avalanche. The hikers were experienced enough to know not to camp in an avalanche zone, and the pattern of injuries doesn't match typical avalanche victims. The military testing theory. Some believe the group stumbled upon a secret Soviet weapons test. This could explain the radiation, the strange lights, and the government's quick classification of the case. The internal injuries could have been caused by some sort of experimental weapon or shockwave. The infrasound theory. Weather conditions in the pass could have created a rare atmospheric phenomenon known as infrasound, low-frequency waves that can cause panic, disorientation, and even hallucinations. This might explain why the group fled their tent, but it doesn't account for the physical injuries or radiation. The katabatic wind theory. Sudden, powerful downdrafts could have created both the panic and the crushing injuries. However, this doesn't explain the radiation or the selective nature of the injuries. The Yeti UFO theories. While more sensational explanations involving supernatural or extraterrestrial forces have been proposed, they're generally dismissed by serious investigators. However, the strange lights and inexplicable injuries have kept these theories alive in popular culture. Recent developments have added new layers to the mystery. In 2019, Russian authorities officially attributed the deaths to an avalanche, citing small-scale sliding of a snow slab as the cause. Yet, this explanation fails to address many of the case's most puzzling elements. Swedish-Russian researcher Richard Holmgren conducted extensive site investigations and snow science studies, suggesting that while an avalanche might explain the initial panic, it doesn't account for the full range of evidence. Lev Ivanov, the original lead investigator, made a shocking admission in 1990. He claimed he had been ordered to close the case and classify the files because of pressure from high-ranking Soviet officials who were concerned about the real reason for the deaths. In 2020, a comprehensive study published in Communications, Earth and Environment suggested that a small but uniquely dangerous type of avalanche, combined with the poor visibility conditions, could explain some aspects of the incident. However, even this modern analysis couldn't account for all the evidence. What makes the Dyatlov Pass incident so compelling is not just its mysterious elements, but what it represents. In an age of satellite imaging and instant communication, the idea that 9 people could die so inexplicably, leaving behind evidence that continues to baffle experts, seems almost impossible. The case challenges our understanding of the natural world. It raises questions about what governments might be capable of hiding. It reminds us that even in our modern world, some mysteries remain beyond our grasp. Were the Dyatlov Pass hikers victims of a natural phenomenon we still don't fully understand? Did they stumble upon something they weren't meant to see? Or is the truth even stranger than any theory yet proposed? Today, more than 60 years later, the pass bears Igor Dyatlov's name, and a monument stands near the site where the 9 hikers lost their lives. Visitors report a peculiar silence in the area, as if the mountain itself holds secrets it refuses to reveal. The case continues to fascinate us because it combines so many compelling elements: young lives cut short, inexplicable evidence, government secrecy, and the harsh, unforgiving wilderness of the Urals. It reminds us that sometimes the most disturbing mysteries are those that occur not in darkness, but in the stark white emptiness of a mountain night. What do you think happened to the 9 hikers on Kholat Syakhl? What force could have been strong enough to drive experienced mountaineers from their tent to certain death? Will we ever know the full truth of what occurred on Dead Mountain? Share your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more unsolved mysteries that challenge our understanding of reality. Remember, sometimes the most compelling mysteries are those that remain unsolved, leaving us to wonder what really happened on that cold February night in 1959.